What's going on, YouTube family? Today we're going to be talking about why dealers can't sell cars. Now, the reason why I picked this topic is because I took 30 cars to auction and I only sold one this week. Now, this is the first time it's ever happened to me. Now, before you guys chime in and say, well, Lucky, are your cars priced too high, whatever else? Every car I had was under MMR, which is auction wholesale. On top of that, I had a lot of cheap cars. Majority of my cars were under $8,000, which are gold during tax season. Now, tax season is the busiest time for used car dealerships. They're always out there basically buying cars December, January, and February to get prepped for the next few months. And that's what I always did. But unfortunately, none of these cars sold, and it shocked me. So I decided to drive around Las Vegas to see what the market was and to find out why these cheap cars are not selling. So this is actually the second time I filmed this video. I thought it'd be fun to kind of take you around Las Vegas, but unfortunately I picked the one day that had 30-mile-an-hour winds, and I filmed it and the audio was absolutely trash. So here we go for round two. So after driving around the three major areas where all the dealerships are at here in Las Vegas, Sahara, Boulder Highway, and Nellis, I noticed one thing that really stuck out. Now, I knew that there was going to be some dealers that were going to going out of business because, like I said, the credit crunch is on, it's getting harder to lend. But not only that, I saw dealerships that basically have been empty and have been empty for months at a time, because the last time I went down there was about 8 months ago. Now, typically in Las Vegas, as soon as a dealership goes out of business, somebody snatches up that spot right away. But as I started driving down these streets, there were empty ones. I saw a few new companies that were moving in that put, coming soon, this sign, whatever else. But after I drove by there, they were already out of business in 8 months. So owning a car dealership is fun, but you can lose hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars like this. All you got to do is buy a bunch of bad cars, make a few mistakes, or mess up when it comes to financing. And I think this is the thing that's really crushing a lot of the independent dealers here in Las Vegas and across the United States. So when I first opened up my dealership, I had 27 banks, all types of lenders to get just about anybody done. Prime, subprime, deep subprime, I can get you financed as long as you had a pulse. But in 2019, that's the reason why I decided to sell my dealership, because I only had 4 lenders that wanted to do business in the state of Nevada. Now, unfortunately, Vegas, there's a lot of things going on and people don't want to make their car payments. We had some of the worst performing portfolio out of any single state. So what does that mean? A lot of banks decided they didn't want to be here. And on top of that, the banks that did want to be here knew that there wasn't a lot of competition, so they can do whatever they want to dealerships. And what I mean by this is they're going to charge crazy fees. So if you want to buy this Mercedes, depending on your credit, they could charge me anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000 to buy this loan. On top of that, they could do anything from 1 month to 6 month recourse. Recourse is where the dealership is married to the customer for 6 months. So imagine me selling this car, giving it to somebody I know that has bad credit, that their last car is repoed because I have no other choice. I got to get this car financed to get it off my flooring line. And now I'm worried that this guy is going to have to make his payments. And most of these people right now are not. The inflation's gotten out of control. People can't pay their bills. And so dealers are being left with hundreds of thousands of dollars in buybacks that they simply can't afford. So I saw the writing on the wall and said, forget this, I'm just going to sell my dealership. But that's what I'm seeing happen to a lot of independent dealers right now, is if they can sell a car, the banks are going to ask for so much fee up front, it makes it, basically impossible for them to sell the car, or they ask for so much back-end recourse that these dealers don't want to be married to these people with bad credit or good credit for 6 months. It's absolutely scary. And unfortunately, you're going to see dealers that have no other choice. And this doesn't even include the credit crunch. Now, we talked about on this channel quite a few times how banks are no longer lending the way they used to. Usually when it's an economic recession or they're losing a lot of money, they will pull the purse strings and change their lending. Now what the banks want are people with good credit, down payments, and they want to finance something maybe 110, 115% LTV. Well, most dealerships, they overpaid for their cars, so they're already hurting when it comes to LTV. Big down payments, they're not there. So it's very hard to sell those cars on top of that. And they want people with good credit. Right now, the people that are shopping are all the people with bad credit or that are absolutely buried in their cars. Majority of the credit apps that we've been seeing are people that are absolutely horrifically buried in cars. They owe $20,000, $30,000 on a car that's maybe worth $10,000, $15,000. On top of that, a lot of the people that decided to let them go, they're like, well, I'm just going to let this go and buy another car. So when you do that, a lot of times banks want to see at least 1 year before they issue another car loan. So a lot of these people gave gave away their cars because they don't make $1,000 payment on a car that's worth 20 grand, and now they can't get a new car, so they're gonna have to go to some buy here, pay here store. But I'm sure a lot of dealers watching this are thinking to themselves, well, that's okay, Lucky, we're waiting for tax season. It's all gonna change for tax season because that's when all the people with bad credit or a bunch of kids is gonna get a bunch of money and all their tax refunds. Well, unfortunately, I think just like last year, it's not going to be that great. I know they're still chasing people down that didn't pay taxes during the pandemic. They're still chasing down people that did all the PPP loans. If you basically suspended your student loan payments, that's coming out of there and everything else. So I think tax season is not going to be that great. Now, there are a lot of dealers, unfortunately, hanging by a thread, hoping that when this tax money comes in, they can have enough big down payments where they can sell the cars for what they owe on them. They can get enough people moving cars so they can buy some fresh ones to basically get out their old inventory. But I don't think it's going to happen because, one, the banks don't want to take the risk. The worst banks to be hit right now are subprime. And unfortunately, majority of the people that are going to be getting these big tax returns that want to buy all these cars are probably going to be subprime customers. Not only that, if they want to buy a car and they've already had one on their credit, some of these banks, like I said, they changed their lending rules. They're not going to want to add a second car. So even if they're trying to buy one and dump the other one before they get out, they're not going to be able to do this. So after driving around town and seeing all this stuff, dealerships going out of business, a lot of open new spaces, banks not financing people, credit lines not extending to dealers, I thought to myself, this is a great time to open up a dealership. And so I kept thinking, okay, what should I do? Should I actually open up a dealership? Now, about 1.5 years ago, if you guys remember, I had that space downtown, but unfortunately, the city would not approve it for the license because the owner did not want to spend the extra money to add fire extinguishers and fire sprinkler systems and all this other stuff to bring it up to code. So I ended up walking away. But after that, I started looking at other spaces and the rent was absolutely astronomical. I called my old landlord and I used to pay about 20 grand a month. And I asked him, how much would you charge me to get started back in that same location? He wanted $40,000 a month. I laughed hysterically. I said, you're never going to get it. He said, yes, he will. And so I just left it alone. Well, anyways, it's been about a year, 1.5 years, and rents have gone down significantly. There are so many open spaces. Now I'm actually starting to think maybe a little bit more, should I actually open up a dealership? Panda Auto Sales, where everything is black and white, no bullshit. Here's the price, here's the financing. It is what it is. And so, the more I think about it, the more I decided, I should start looking into it. So this week, I'm actually going to look at a few spots to see if I can find something with a good rent that also has a shop, just to get something going for fun. I'm not going to be there full time. It's really going to be to show the channel how the market is, also to sell some of you guys cars, and really to do training when it comes to buying and selling cars, learning finance and stuff like that. Because right now, I travel all over the US setting up dealerships and doing training. And so this way, make it a little bit easier if people just fly into Vegas. So, but if I do it, I'm probably going to get investors because I don't want to get a flooring line. Me paying 18% interest on my money is definitely not something I want to do or getting somebody else rich. So I might be looking for a few investors. So if you have a couple $100,000 lying around and you're an accredited investor and you want to buy some cars and do some fun stuff in the auto industry, go ahead and hit me up either on my email or on Instagram at Lucky Lopez. I think it'll be fun because there's going to be a lot of openings in the market to doing something different. So it's just got me thinking, like I said, every time there's something bad happening, there's usually light at the end of the rainbow. And this reminds me of the time when I opened up my first dealership. It was during the recession. Everyone was basically building themselves back up and everybody needed cheap, affordable cars, and we absolutely crushed it. So I think these times are coming again, and it's kind of fun to think about opening up a dealership and dealing with the public, because right now, majority of the sales I do is all wholesale, and I get tons of messages from you guys like, I want to buy a car. Where's your dealership at? And I'm like, I just do wholesale. So unless you're a dealer and you buy at an auction, I can't help you. But if I have a location here in Las Vegas, you guys come down, say hello, and hopefully buy a car and just hang out and do whatever. So I think this will be kind of fun. Also something new for the channel, but I'll let you guys know next week on what I find. But I want to get your guys' opinion down below. Do you guys think that it is a good time to open up a dealership? Also, let me know in your current area, do you see a lot of dealerships going out of business? Do you see a lot of car lots empty or full? Because I see the ones that are full of cars, I think they have good financing, and the ones that are kind of empty, I feel like they're the ones that actually the exact opposite. They don't have good financing, so they have to keep low inventory so they don't get crushed by their flooring lines. So something fun and interesting to think about. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.